Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And in Chatbot news, we actually have some good news for once. Kind of, but I do think this is very promising, and here's what's going on. Now, there's a really good write-up by Rhiannon Williams in MIT Technology Review on this, and here's what's up, because I do think that this has some real good potential for the future. Now, researchers believe that they've uncovered a new tool for combating false conspiracy theories, and that is AI chatbots. Researchers from MIT Sloan and Cornell University found that chatting around, or rather about a conspiracy theory with a large language model, or LLM, reduced people's belief in it by about 20%, even among participants who claim that their beliefs were important to their identity. Now, the research is published basically as of today in Science, the journal. Now, the findings could represent an important step forward in how we engage and educate people that essentially espouse baseless theories. We are living essentially in a world that is flooding social media with fake conspiracy theories. We've seen some actual real violence. Think about the Pizzagate thing, where somebody showed up with basically a AR-15 to a pizza place in Washington, D.C., looking for the basement where they were keeping the children they were trafficking. The place didn't have a building. We've seen actual murders. We've seen basically other types of violence and threats that have come out of this. And so this is a real problem that we've got. And if we can combat this, that's a good thing. Thomas Costello is a research affiliate at MIT Sloan and the lead author of the study, and he mentioned that basically few interventions thus far have proven to essentially change a conspiracy theorist's mind. Part of what makes it so hard is that different people tend to latch on to different parts of a theory. And that's one of those things with the QAnons, when it becomes a catch-all that you have everybody from like yoga people to soccer moms to just crazies believing this, and everybody in between. And what this really means is that while presenting certain bits of factual evidence may work on, let's say, the yoga crowd, it may not work on the other side of the crowd, and it might not be proven effective. And that's where AI models come in. And according to Costello, and I quote, they have access to a ton of information across diverse topics, and they've been trained on the internet. Because of that, they have the ability to tailor factual counter-arguments to particular conspiracy theories that people believe. And so let's dive into this, because the nuts and bolts of this test are actually pretty interesting. The team tested its method by asking 2,190 crowdsourced workers to participate in text conversations with GPT-4 Turbo. That is OpenAI's latest large language model. Participants were asked to share details about a conspiracy theory that they found credible, why they found it compelling, and any evidence they felt that supported it. These answers were then used to tailor responses from the chatbot, which basically the researchers had prompted to be as persuasive as possible. Participants were also asked to indicate how confident they were that their conspiracy theory that they believed in was true, on a scale of 0, meaning definitely false, to 100, meaning definitely absolutely true, and then rate how important the theory was to their understanding of the world. Afterwards, they entered into 3 rounds of conversations with this AI chatbot. The researchers chose 3 to make sure that they could collect enough substantive dialogue between the chatbot and the participant. And after each conversation, participants were basically asked the same rating questions. The researchers then followed up with these participants 10 days after the experiment, and again 2 months later, to assess whether their views had changed following the conversation with the AI bot. The participants reported a 20% reduction of belief in their chosen conspiracy theory on average, suggesting that talking to the bot had fundamentally changed some of the people's minds. And I'm going to be talking about that in a bit, because I have a lot of thoughts on what they're doing here that dovetails with stuff I've talked about in the past. So if you're wondering how the researchers ensured that the AI, the GPT-4 Turbo, didn't go off the rails and start hallucinating on the participants, aka just making stuff up to prove its point, here's what they did to control for that. They employed a professional fact checker to evaluate the accuracy of 128 claims that the AI had made. Of these, 99.2% were found to be true, while 0.8% were deemed misleading, 0 were completely false. So the research upended essentially the author's preconceived notions about how receptive people were to solid evidence debunking not only conspiracy theories, but also other beliefs that are not rooted in good quality information. And that's according to Gordon Pennycook, who's the associate professor at Cornell University, who also worked on the project. Remember, it's MIT and Cornell together. Now, you know we're in trouble. So this opens up a lot of points for me because, quite frankly, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I think this is an interesting one because I think it confirms that chatbots can be persuasive, but they can be persuasive for both good and bad. That means that while MIT and Cornell ensured accurate answers, they got a fact checker. They did this essentially to see if conspiracy theories that are known false could be debunked, or at least persuade people to think that they are. There really isn't anything stopping the conspiracy theorists, or quite frankly, the intelligence agencies that have been pumping out this fake garbage into our collective conscious, from programming their own AI that says, yes, the moon landing was faked, or worse, and then provide fake evidence on the fly. And what this is a dovetail with a recent video / podcast / radio segment that I recently did on the susceptibility of people to believe the ChatGPTs of the world because they sound authoritative, even if they're saying incorrect things. There's basically a comparison between a standard Google search and talking to a ChatGPT. And even when ChatGPT was saying things that were demonstrably false, because it is basically stating it as a fact, an air of authority, it is responding in kind, almost human-like to how you are responding or how you are asking a question, almost a human-to-human conversation, people tend to trust that. And so by virtue of that, while we can train chatbots with accurate fake information to not hallucinate when we're talking about, let's say, the fake moon landing or, something about the presidential election, because that's flying around, all that kind of stuff, there's no reason why you couldn't have one that basically just suits it. And that really underscores the problem that we have overarchingly, is that it is very hard to break through confirmation bias. And so if you have one of those people, that 20% that said, well, yeah, I'm persuaded, at least somewhat, that the conspiracy I believe in isn't true, what happens if tomorrow they go see a chatbot that tells them it is? Are they persuaded right back? And then it becomes really a human issue. Is it just the person that is susceptible to this, that is open and inflexible and believes anything that they see? A sucker is born every minute. Or is there something else going on, meaning they don't have good vetting skills for knowledge or evidence, or they can't fact check against something that they consider authoritative? They simply believe it because it confirms what they believe. And if it doesn't confirm what they believe, maybe it gives them an unsettling feeling, maybe they question it, but do they go right back? And so I'd be curious to see where this goes. I'd be curious to see a much larger and more longitudinal study, but I do think it's something promising. If we are able to basically get on the same page and say, look, up is down, black is white, 1 + 1 really does equal 2, the moon landing was indeed not faked, etc., pick your conspiracy, then I think we've got something there. Now, the real question is how to get it out into the world, and how do we then, when the Russian intelligences of the world see it and they start producing their own, how do we combat that? So there's a lot of questions, but again, overarchingly, I think it's a good thing. I think it's promising. I'm glad they did this kind of study. We just need to see more of it, and it just needs to be more widespread. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, where I'm hoping, with you, like with YouTube, where you should subscribe. I'm just delivering all the facts all the time. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private and well-informed accurately. Take care.